Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On Screen. I'm your host Dylan Wright, and I'm here to take you on a journey through film and television. So we're back from break with another rendition of Directors Month, and this month I decided to do a director who's just starting out in the industry and has already made huge waves with his Oscar-winning movies, and that is Damien Chazelle. Now, Chazelle's only 32 years old, which is relatively young when you're dealing with the Hollywood directors kind of scene. He recently came out with a movie you might have heard about, La La Land, but he's only done two other feature films before that. Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench in 2009, and the more well-known Whiplash in 2014. Now, with all of Mr. Chazelle's movies, there's kind of a running theme, and you could tell that he really loves two things: filmmaking and jazz music. From Guy and Madeline in a Park Bench to La La Land, every single movie that he has had his hand in has had something to do with jazz. And the bookend two movies, Guy and Madeline and La La Land, are both kind of musicals that act as ode to jazz music. And Whiplash is about more the dark side of jazz, how, a jazz band could be merciless and brutal, and the art form of playing music through it can sometimes be costly. It's a really stunning portrayal, actually, of the passion and the art that goes into anybody's, hopes and dreams. The character that Miles Teller plays in Whiplash has to work super hard for his craft because of J.K. Simmons's jazz instructor / drill sergeant character. And the way that music is kind of portrayed in this movie, it almost seems like it hurts to have your passion. The main character kind of distances himself from his family and his girlfriend and just focuses on the music in a way that it's almost toxic, this passion that he has for drumming. It displays it in a way that you normally don't see passionate people portrayed in movies. You see them just going after their dream, and there might be some naysayers, but ultimately they get on their side, and it's always seen as kind of a happy experience. But the way Damien Chazelle portrays this young jazz drummer who's trying to become the next Buddy Rich and Charlie Parker, it's a painful experience. It's an arduous task, a real hardened journey that he has to go through, and he has to experience all this pain and suffering, and it's almost like he's putting it on himself in a way that nobody else is putting it on him except maybe his instructor. But the common thread through all of his movies is passion, as well as, jazz. These characters have a love of something that it's portrayed beautifully through Chazelle's well-scripted and well-shot movies. Sebastian, the character in La La Land, is a jazz enthusiast that wants to save jazz. Let's not talk about the problem that he's a white guy trying to be the savior of jazz and bringing a white savior kind of thing to a predominantly black music genre. So that's a little iffy, but you can kind of contrast his passion for jazz music with Emma Stone's character's passion for acting. She's a struggling actress in Hollywood and has to kind of work her way up through the crowd and prove that she's different from everybody else, even though there's this great scene where she walks into the waiting room and literally there are like dozens of actresses dressed exactly the same as her, and it's kind of disheartening for her. And it shows that it's difficult to achieve your dream, but if you keep persevering, you might accomplish it. But Chazelle has no qualms showing the darkness of someone's love and someone's passion and how it can consume you and kind of separate you from your loved ones. Both La La Land and Whiplash kind of show that. It's really kind of honed and cemented. You can see kind of a growth of how this is portrayed on screen throughout these three films. And they almost kind of act as a trilogy of sorts, with the musical bookends of Madeline and La La Land, and with Whiplash being kind of the dark middle chapter, just like Empire Strikes Back. And they all really are well shot, well choreographed, and well composed by his frequent collaborator, Justin Hurwitz. And you could really see why these two have won several awards for these three movies. They really know how to make musical movies in a way that's really entertaining to audiences. I mean, look at La La Land and its record-breaking number of Oscar nominations and a record-winning number of Golden Globe wins. it has its problems, and I already mentioned the biggest problem in the movie, but it knows how to tap into this sense of nostalgia, and Guy Madeline also does. It's almost like the MGM type movies, but done in like a kind of French Art Nouveau style. And it's really interesting to see that versus La La Land, which is very colorful and pastels and is also kind of MGM musical-like, but more so as an homage than Guy and Madeline. None of his movies are bad. He's 3 for 3 basically with how great the quality is of these movies. And he's the youngest director to ever receive the Best Director award for the Academy Awards. So, he's doing something right. Who knows what he'll come up with next? It'll probably be something jazz-related. He's been in Hollywood for a short amount of time as compared to a lot of other people, and it's just amazing that he's kind of earned all of these accolades in such a short amount of time. It's really kind of a role model to look up to for young filmmakers. It's just impressive, is all I can say. It's impressive that he's been able to create these worlds that bring you really into jazz music. And not a lot of people like jazz music, so that's kind of an overgeneralization, but jazz music isn't as popular as it was before. And the fact that these movies are so popular in today's world shows that it kind of transcends the musical genre of jazz, and it makes you almost appreciate the music if you didn't quite like it to begin with. And the soundtracks of all of these movies are just beautiful. Justin Hurwitz does an amazing, amazing job composing these intricate jazz pieces and really just sucking you into the world of the improvisational jazz. You're starting to feel like an expert by the end of the movies, and that's truly a sign of a great composer and a great director. And the fact that he wrote all 3 of these movies shows that he kind of has this personal experience with jazz music, so it's always great to have somebody who is so passionate about a certain thing portray that on film or wherever, because you know that they know what they're talking about. You can feel their love of this certain thing just pouring into the movie, and I think that's the case for Damien Chazelle. So now it's time for my Netflix pick of the week. And I wanted to be able to recommend to you Marvel's new Netflix show Iron Fist, but I started watching the first episode and I was not thrilled with it. So instead, I think I'm going to have to recommend to you Mystery Science Theater 3000. 20 episodes just came onto Netflix a week ago, and there's going to be a new season coming out. And I may or may not be doing an episode on that season when it comes out. But the show is basically this guy, he's sent into space by his employers and forced to watch bad movies. And he does commentary, riffs over them with 2 robot sidekicks. And it's hilarious. I'm the kind of guy that talks over movies that I don't like, and I try to make jokes. And this is the whole reason why from watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. These guys are geniuses, and I'm so happy that they're making a revival of the show. So before that comes on Netflix, definitely check out the 20 episodes that are on Netflix currently of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So that's all the time I have left on this week's episode of On Screen. We have one more director left in March's Directors Month. So if you have any suggestions for future topics on the show, please let me know. I would love to cover anything you'd like me to cover. And until next time, take care.